Good evening, all. Gary Gabagool here on the Red Podcast 35. Coming here on Monday night with my boy Sal.
What's up, everybody?
How you doing? We're coming into a very dark song by an American icon, Johnny Cash. God's Gonna Cut You Down. And after this week of what's transpiring, nothing has changed in the Democratic Party. Lies, corruption, thievery, so on and so forth.
They're going to be answering the gods soon. That's why we picked this song.
Eventually, at some point in time, they're going to have to answer to somebody because the things they do on a daily basis are so completely despicable. And we're going to get into a whole bunch of really disgusting, horrific, and just completely anti-American behavior. So Sal's going to start off the podcast, and then we're going to take it from there. Take it away, Sal.
Hey, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Had a good weekend. I'm going to start off the show tonight by talking about the Michael Flynn indictment. I'm not sure if that's where everyone wanted to go, if we had other things, taxes on our mind. I'm going to start with Michael Flynn.
Yeah.
Because it starts out with the first impression I got, the first overall impression I got, this guy Flynn, he got indicted for lying.
Yep.
If you get indicted for lying, why is anything you have to say credible afterwards?
Correct.
What are you going to go talk to? Everything you say to me now, you're a liar.
Right.
So now they're going to use this guy as a key witness in taking down Trump? Are you kidding me? He's a liar.
Well, and then, I'm going to let you go in for them, but let's take this back before Flynn.
Yeah.
This guy's going to plead guilty to lying. How many people can we name off the top of our head who have lied to Congress in the Obama administration?
Every one of them?
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
So think about that, people. Every single person in the Obama administration has lied to Congress and to a judge under oath, and they're all walking the streets free. So you want to tell me that this isn't a witch hunt?
Yeah. I wanted to bring Flynn up first because, I mean, this has been the story going on since Trump has been in office, is this whole collusion, Trump, Russia, and now, like, I think I might have said it in one of our summer shows, they're going to go for obstruction of justice. That is their main ploy.
It's easiest to prove.
And that's what they're going for now. But by getting a liar to go, that's their main dude, is a liar. They couldn't even pin shit on Manafort.
Right.
They couldn't even hold anything to Manafort.
Right.
So now they're going to go after Flynn, who's going to, like, obviously take some kind of money, give them probably, in my estimations of it all, not much information.
Just lies.
Yeah, just straight up lies, information that they're going to try to create more fake dossiers to prove beyond. It's all nonsense.
And people, you know, if you don't know, this is the truth. How did they get to Michael Flynn? If anyone on this podcast or knows of anyone that's ever been pinched by the feds, or if you watch, I'll tell you what, if you haven't, do me a favor, just go watch the show Billions and watch the attorney, New York District Attorney of New York, Paul Giamatti's character, and you watch. Here's the theory. When they want you, they will get you.
That's right.
And they'll have you say anything. Because what I'm hearing, and this is fact, but I do not know the charge, but they threatened to arrest Michael Flynn's son. On a charge I don't know. If I told you, I'd be lying. But I do know they threatened to arrest him. So now this guy is
something
basically,
felonious,
yeah.
I think, right?
So maybe like drugs or something, who knows? But whatever. I don't know what it was. But once, as a father, once you threaten the guy's kid, he's going to cooperate because he's going to take, if he's a good man, he's going to fall on the sword for his son, pretty much. And that's what happened here. In addition, Brian Ross of ABC News came out with a blatant lie about this story, and he was fired. And previously, Joy Behar from The View, if you saw this clip,
I did see the clip.
She was celebrating on The View like she had scored a touchdown in football or just received the winning lottery ticket. It was disgusting.
They do it. They did it. It was so fake. Like the information was out for hours already, and then she gets a special note from her producer, and she starts reading it, and like her eyes start getting real big. And she's like that. And it's just like, you fake ass bitch.
And the goofy crowd. You know, the any person who goes and sees The View, I'm sorry, you have to be a real piece of shit to spend your morning with those 5 or 6 dolts.
All the tickets are free.
Even if I'm going to tell you something, they're not even worth the paper they're printed on. But besides the fact that this is what's going down, and listen, Also, there is something called the FISA Act. It's the Federal Information Surveillance Act. And this is public knowledge, some of it. Now, some of it is with classified information. Obviously, people like you, myself, Sal, we can't see. And that's for judges and people of that nature to decide upon. However, most of the FISA information, people like us can see. I went and looked. And do you know that Obama approved Michael Flynn to talk to the Russian ambassador that they're prosecuting him on? So wait a second. Obama approved it. He talked to them. Trump fired Flynn for doing this and not telling him and lying in court. And this has the rotten stench of corruption and witch hunt all over it. And if you don't see that, and if you're a liberal or an independent, anyone out there, and you're celebrating this, that makes you a real anti-American person who doesn't believe in the justice system. Because let me tell you something, people. When someone can just negate all of the facts and truth and just make something up against someone they don't like, that could be you next time on your job. That could be, there might be some people that don't like you on your job, and they just make up all these false charges, and you have no way to really, you have corroboration of 3 or 4 people that don't like you, completely false narrative. Same thing goes for Fusion GPS. We all know about the dossier. They all lied, and they didn't just do it against President Trump. It was proven they did it against 4 American citizens who they opposed, who were involved in the coal industry and some other industries that they didn't agree on, that they were hired to do. So when you start agreeing to do stuff like this, it takes me back to an interview that scumbag Harry Reid had. He's the ex-DNC chair guy. He's the guy who said that he lies whenever possible because the end justifies the means, and all he needs to do is win. And if he wins, then lying is good. That's what you're teaching your kids. That's how you live your life. You deserve to get hit by a bus, because that is the shittiest way to go. When you make lies about other people for their detriment, when they're not true, and you know that they can't prove it, how are you? It's their word against yours, and they're going down, kind of like Roy Moore. That makes you one of the lowest forms of life, and you deserve to get your ass kicked, because I know if that comes in, someone's going to kick your ass one day, because that's one thing. I don't know how it is for everyone else. My pet peeve in life is when I'm blamed for something I don't do. It makes me nuts. I turn into a raving lunatic when I don't do it. Because I'm the kind of man that if I do something wrong, I man up, I admit it, I apologize, and I take my punishment. But when I know I didn't do it and I'm getting fucking pasted for it, I go crazy. It's happened that way since I was a little kid, and I held a grudge against my dad for doing this to me until the day he passed, almost, because he blamed me for something I never did for years. And when he found out it wasn't me, he never apologized to me, and it made me nuts.
What did he blame you for?
My buddy Bobby and I and this other guy were walking home from school one day, and we had this kid. We used to call him Johnny the Hypercon. He might have been a kid who was a little mentally disabled. Right, but he used to come out every day and yell at us and curse at us. Back then, right? So he used to yell and curse at us.
He was just a crazy guy.
Right. He was young. He was a little kid. We were like 12, and I think he was like 9. Okay. And he would just come out and scream at us, curse at us, sometimes throw stuff at us. And we just would look at him and laugh. Well, this one day, this one guy decides to pick up a rock, and he whips it at the kid, catches the kid right in the eye. Bad. Blood everywhere. So these 2 guys go running, and I run over to the kid, and I look on the ground, and I see that. I said, "Johnny, you okay?" And he's crying, blood everywhere. He caught him in the corner of the eye. So I get him up, and I bring him into his house. I ring the doorbell, and I get him in, and I just walk away. Next night at dinner, it was a really hot night, and we're sitting at the table. And back then, no one really bothered you at dinner. You got a knock on the door. It's the kid's father, and the kid's got a huge bandage covering his eye and his head. And he said, "Your son hit my son with this rock." And I said, "Sir, I didn't do that. I didn't hit your kid." And so the guy starts telling my dad, "I'm taking your house. I'm suing you." And this is before suing was even popular. And so my dad tells me to go to my room. So I hear him talking with the guy, and the door closes, and all of a sudden I hear him coming up the stairs. And all of a sudden I see him. He takes off his belt, and he just starts beating the shit out of me. And he goes, "Why did you lie to me?" I said, "Dad, I didn't do it." And he said, "Well, who did it?" And I said, I can't tell you. I can't rat." So he goes, "I'm going to come up here every night and beat the shit out of you until you tell me who did it." Well, I got beatings for like 6 straight days. And then on the 7th day, I went to my friend Bobby. I go, Bob, I'm getting my ass kicked every night. You got to help me out here. So my friend Bobby came to the house and said, Gary didn't do it. And I looked at him. If he had apologized to me, I think I would have been cool. But he didn't, never did. And he did the night before he died. But that's my thing. So from that,
I would hold a grudge.
yeah, so that pissed me off. So when something like this happens, like these people who are doing this, I would find a way to make their lives living hell. That's what I would do.
I'm with you. I'm with you. There's several directions we can go from that. What did you want to talk about next?
Yeah, you take it out. You talk about what you want, and I'll take it from there.
All right, I wanted to take us back to, since Gary was talking about manning up right there and what it almost takes, I want to go back to the first ever episode we ever did on this podcast, and we started with male feminism and why male feminism might be one of the worst things ever.
Correct.
And in this country, well, I think anywhere in the world, the worst possible thing for any man is to be a weak man, because a weak man will lash out and do crazy, stupid things. Crazy, stupid things.
We see it every day.
Antifa.
Correct.
You just see it happen in this country where they make now being a man almost like, you know, you have a disease. Like having a dick is a disease.
It's
Like,
so ridiculous. It's ridiculous, especially a white man.
oh, I know. Well, especially a white man. But that's where it comes in. It's like, I'm going off that today. Obama said that we need to get rid of all the male executives and replace them with women because male executives have poor decision-making skills. And it's just like,
and he was a male executive. Go figure.
I'm going to defend men here, and this is not to say that I don't love women or whatever. Men are the reason why we have everything that is great in this world. Like, we are the providers. We're the ones who think of all this shit.
Yep.
And to take away, like, just undermine and undermine and undermine and undermine, you create this weak man civilization right now. Like, I see it all the time.
Yep.
I see it all the time, like, especially my generation, lower generation, where they don't even care. They don't care about anything.
Right.
It's almost nihilism. Like, they just don't give a shit about anything. They don't care about girls. They don't care about work. They don't care about school.
No.
They don't care about anything. They care about eating video games and getting high.
Yep.
And like not even like smoking pot high. They care about doing meth high, like crazy shit. And it's just like the destruction of just manliness I see on a daily basis is crushing to me. And it's like, and it comes, and people follow because of these asshole leaders like Obama. They go, oh, women should be more women. Oh, you know, women don't even make the same amount of money as men do. You liar.
Right.
You liar. And it's that other thing. Like, he's saying this to be like more, like to get a leg up with women. I don't understand. Listen, if you guys think Obama and Michelle is like a happy couple,
no.
Be real.
They're Bill and Hillary.
Obama is most likely gay.
I agree.
And Michelle, I think, this is going to shatter some liberals' minds. I think Michelle is actually Michael, just spelled like Michelle. That's, and that's the she's a man. I think she has, she's got something hidden under there.
Well, go to
maybe the Adam's apple is a dead giveaway. Maybe it's not, but
go to South Point. It's been proven that there was a professor who said he had an affair with Obama, and he was jailed. And I think he was killed in jail. And I don't know his name, but there was actually 2. There was believe it or not, a black professor and then a white guy. And both of them somehow disappeared. They came out saying that they had been with Barack Obama. And both of them just disappeared off the face of the earth. I know the black guy was jailed. And I think this past year they found him killed in jail or something. He was murdered. But I completely agree. You could just tell by looking at him that he's just such a sniveling little bitch. I hate him.
Just like to pander, like that whole thing. It's just like, oh, you're trying to make men weak. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, what, we talked about it before. When you do that, it's going to make the military drop. It's going to make all these things happen, and then eventually you're going to have no men around. Like, that's what gets me about these feminists. Do they really want a man like that? No, because I mean science, but studies come out and they say like more people are attracted to manly things. Women are attracted to men who do manly shit.
Of course, if not, they'd be lesbians.
So what is this making of all the men like equal and pussified? And it bothers me. It bothers me to the nth degree, and I'll talk about it forever. But I get a little bit more graphic. I don't want to lose women viewers.
It's a joke because I will stay on Obama for a minute because this past weekend I had a really long debate with a couple people who said Obama, left us a great economy. So we went back and forth for a while, and I just sat here and I was just like, and there was a couple people on my thread that came in support and said, "You got to be kidding me!" And the shout out goes out to George Facetta. Did a great job, George. Also, Gretchen Hadley, you put up something up today that was brilliant that I'm going to talk about in a second. So I thank you. But it got me thinking. I inherently believe that, when you were a little kid and you had comic books and you looked through the advertisements and they had those glasses that you put on and they said, "Oh, X-ray vision glasses. When you put these on, you could see through, you could see through people's clothes and stuff." You're like 8 years old. You're like, "I want those glasses." Yeah, and you didn't even know that they were, at 8 years old, you didn't even know they were bogus. It was just so stupid, but they were selling them. At 8 years old, when you got a little older, you knew it was a fraud. Liberals put these glasses on every day when it comes to the ideological behavior of their heroes and the DNC. It's embarrassing. It's like when you give these people facts, and a couple of these people arguing against me were, "Oh, you get all your facts from right-wing biased websites." And like Sal and I always talk about, the word transference, the word boomerang effect. That's what they do. They go to the Occupy Democrats. They go to all these radical, nutty George Soros. I think he has 19 of them. All these nutty Hollywood people that continuously just spew garbage out and all that. But the statistics I'm going to tell you are from a federal government agency. They're from the U.S. Labor Department of Statistics, the Bureau of Statistics. So these are facts about Obama's economy when he took over and where it is now. Every single one of the biggest indicators, the American people, specifically the middle class and the poverty, were crushed. And just an FYI, people who always say the Republicans always favor the ultra elites and wealthy, not true. Obama's rich 1%ers gained the highest value in their portfolios and wealth in our nation's history. It was the biggest disparagement. So the first thing is debt. We all know this one. He took over a debt. And just as an FYI, Sal and I always talk about this, George Bush did a shitty job the last 4 years. He acted like a lily white liberal asshole. So he came in with a $10.6 trillion debt. We all know when he left, it's $20 trillion, more than every president in the past combined. The debt per U.S. citizen, as a citizen, so for me, Sal, my wife, each one of you, it started off $31,000 when he first came aboard the first day. When he left, it was $61,340. That's insanity. Insanity.
Doubled in 8
Doubled.
years.
Home ownership. He took over 67.5% of people owned homes. When he left, 63.5. Now, you may not think that 4% is a lot, but do 4% of a couple hundred million. It's a lot of people who lost their homes. Labor force. 65.8% of the labor force was working when he came in. When he left, 62.8. Same point as before. Median income. Now think about this, people. We are, besides inflation, we're getting hit with all these extra things, these expenses to live with. The median income dropped by over $3,700 in 8 years under Obama. That is huge. There's no growth in the economy, assholes who are arguing with me on Saturday. Food stamps. 32 million people on food stamps. When he left office, 43.6. Think about that. One of the last things, health insurance. Remember when Obama said you can keep your doctor, it's going to be cheaper? Well, for the average family,
yes, get to keep your plan.
For the average family, health insurance was $12,606 when they came into office back in the day. When he left, it was $18,142. That's an $8,000 a year. And people, here's the thing. That's net dollars, net. So to have your health care and the Obamacare, for those assholes around with a bumper sticker saying, we want Obamacare, and the premiums went through the roof. So cut out with this shit. You know what you're talking about. And the last thing, and this is important, poverty. When they got in, 38 million people were living in poverty. Now there's 45.5 million people living in poverty. And who do you think those people are? Middle-class people we screwed. So there you go.
A good chunk of the country.
Huge.
It's like 20%.
Exactly. So So for the two of you arguing with me on Saturday, that Obama had a good economy, take that. That's your allergic to facts moment you're having
and like
here.
let's take it even beyond the economy. Like talk about not necessarily Obama, but talk to any postmodern liberal, any of these guys, and ask them, tell me one successful socialism
They can't.
Organization. Name one successful Marxist dictatorship. Name one that ever worked in the history of the world. It didn't. So what makes your idea of Marxism or socialism gonna work? It won't work.
And no pun intended. The Trump card they love to pull out when you talk about this is, it's almost when you ask them that question, it's on their lips. They're so excited to spew it out to you. They say Sweden.
It's so stupid.
And I say, well, listen, have you ever been to Sweden? Because I've been to Sweden quite a lot. First off, it's a homogeneous population. Everybody's white, and everybody is pretty much the same religion. There's no diversity.
And there's only like 20 million of them.
It's less than Manhattan.
Yeah.
And it's the size of what? Maybe Connecticut? I mean, it's not big at all.
It's like maybe the size of New York.
Maybe. Yeah. And so it's small. And so it's not anything that we can relate to. What happens when you start? They don't have people living on welfare there. They don't have people who are given shit every day and don't work and sit home and do. That's not I've been there. That's not the way it works. Here's what happens with Sweden, though. If you think it's so good and people think it is, I bet you're not aware of this. It has the number one in the world people killing themselves, suicide rate.
And right now the rape
is through the roof.
Yeah,
well, now that with the influx of all these Muslims, the homogeneous thing's going. So here you go, see socialism working.
But here, name where capitalism is good. Oh, America.
Yep.
England. Oh, let me list them.
Yeah.
Let me list all the countries where capitalism works.
Yeah.
Australia, like all of these amazing places you can go to and be. And where does socialism work? Oh, there is no. Oh, Venezuela. Oh, what's going on there? What's going on in Venezuela right now? Eating your dog to survive.
Yeah, it's really, really pathetic. And
bothers me that people actually believe this shit.
And these are the things that you hear, and the fact of the matter is these people will argue with you, and they love to always spew out their, like, you give them this stuff and they'll always just say like no, I'm sorry. That's why they keep score in sports, because there's a winner and there's a loser. Everything you like about your guy, he's a loser. And you ask him what he did good, he hasn't done one good fucking thing for this country. And that's the next thing I want to talk about. For the first time in our lifetime, we have a former president undermining our current president. That's called treason. He's in China, this piece of shit, and he's bad-mouthing our president, our country, to the Chinese, who Donald Trump worked really hard negotiating deals with, and he's over there now. He didn't work this hard when he was a president.
Yeah, Trump brought back almost $250 billion in trade deals. What he got back from China? What the hell did Obama ever come back with, other than walking out the ass of his plane because he's a bitch?
Yeah, it's just something that, and I hear these people and they think it's good. Like, listen, if you don't like, here's my thing: if you don't like President Trump, that's cool. I have no problem with that. I'm not saying you have to like him.
No, you don't.
But what you need to do is look at the truth. And do me a favor, when you're talking about him, I don't want to, there's one thing, if we're going to have a discussion on Facebook anymore, liberals, there's one thing I don't want to talk about anymore. I don't want to talk about the way he looks. I don't want to talk about Russia. I don't want to talk about, his personal life. I want to talk about the job he's doing. When you talk about the job he's doing and the actual accomplishments he has and results he has, I love when you guys put him under this crazy-ass microscope and you say, oh, he didn't get that much back. When your guy, you didn't even bother once in 8 years to do anything of the such, nor did the media. Not once have you ever talked about Barack Obama's lack of accomplishments thereof. He doesn't have any. You never talked about it. Right now, Sal and I, off the top of our head, I don't want to bore you because we've done it in the past. I could rattle off about 20 things Obama completely screwed up as a president. Probably if we thought about it, we'd put down 50. In 8 years. And not, you people did not, nor the media, talk about it one time. Not once. It's disgraceful.
I believe it. Saw it.
Yeah.
You want to go to?
What do you got?
I want to talk right now about today Trump signed the Big Ear land deal, whatever, the national monument thing, and people are going crazy about that. He's destroying our national monuments, this, that, the other. That's another thing that Obama did to kind of screw over people, was take away unnecessarily huge chunks of land that could be used.
Yep.
And like they're in places where there's no development, there's nothing like out there. We can use this with all the natural resources. And now, like what I saw this on both sides. I saw one side for Native Americans, one side against Native Americans. One side was saying the Native Americans are pissed because it's taking away some of their land. And the other side I saw was Native Americans are happy because it's giving back some of their land.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what do you believe? Like, what is this nonsense?
Is he going to give them jobs as well?
But that's what he's going to do. It's going to create
you need jobs.
natural resource jobs.
Right.
Like oil, coal,
people need to work. Yeah. You got to feed your family, for Christ's sake.
The area that Obama, I might be repeating myself. I might have just said this. But Obama took out a chunk of area in the country in Utah. It's bigger than Delaware. Yep. It's bigger than the state of Delaware. And you're not allowed to go and use it. So Trump was, let's we can use a chunk of land in the state of Delaware and still have your monument all
right.
It's that, to me, that was one of the most ridiculous. And people, he's going to that's it. They're taking away national parks. That's it.
And nobody ever goes there. That's what I love. Nobody goes there.
He didn't take away no national park. He kept the park. He
right.
took away all that unnecessary land that he gave, that Obama gave them for no reason.
I will guarantee you, if you went up to these Native Americans and said this, guys, we're going to come on your land and we're going to build stuff. What this is going to do is going to employ you so you're able to feed your families and not live in poverty anymore. I will guarantee you.
You don't have to fly to another state to work.
Correct. I will guarantee you these people will be ecstatic because they've been ignored for years and they're living in poverty. They're one of the 45.5 million that I spoke about earlier that Obama put in this situation. So I don't get it whatsoever, and it's not being talked about at all.
No, it's ridiculous. So let's talk about the great stuff that did just happen, though, the tax reform.
Yeah, I have a great thing, too. So go ahead. You want to talk about that?
The three great things I saw just to come out of tax reform was, well, the GDP doesn't have anything to do with it, but they corrected the GDP. Everyone said, oh, the GDP is going to go lower. They're lying to you. It's not 3%. You know, actually, they're wrong. It was 3.3%. It went up. And without all the natural disasters, it might have been 4.
Yeah, and that's 3.5 times that Obama on his best year ever had.
We're talking like We're talking like $1 trillion.
Asshole.
And that tax reform got passed, and that with the tax reform getting passed, they also repealed the Obamacare tax mandate, which is huge. Now let's reform welfare and let's get this ball rolling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know. Sal has been, and he could tell you. I have been. And so has my wife. We have been hit with that Obamacare tax, and it cost me last year, tax $1,800 and something for 2 months that I didn't have, for only 2 months because they did a subsidy. So I know what this is talking about. It was a bullshit tax to begin with, bullshit. Another thing that I read just came out. Matter of fact, I think it came out at 4:00 today. It came out today that in fiscal 18, so fiscal 18 is October, November, they said that the admissions for refugees in those 2 months are down 83%, which is phenomenal. So all these people coming from these very dangerous places that come here, they're down 83%. So that's without a wall, and President Trump is doing what he said he was going to do, what we wanted him to do. Right now, I think we're not looking to keep all illegal, aliens out or people coming in from immigrants.
Just from terrorist countries.
We just need them from terrorist countries until they can be vetted. And I have no problem if it's a woman and a child, but that's the falsifying information coming out. These are military-aged men coming here. The guys in New York who are running people over, that's been proven. The guy here in Orlando shooting up people. The guy in Sacramento. These are people who are not good people. The one in Minnesota, right there, I named 4 or 5 mass murders that were committed by terrorists off the top of my head. I wasn't even thinking about it. And these were refugees. The scumbag with Kate Steinle, which we can talk about. That was a critic.
I think there needs to be some kind of judicial court reform, too. But I mean that by this. The Supreme Court upheld the travel ban today.
Yep.
Trump and everyone else went through hell getting this travel ban because of judiciary circuit courts.
Yep.
those circuit court judges need there needs to be some sort of punishment to them for doing this.
Well, they were appointed by Obama, every single one of them.
There can't just be, I guess I was wrong, and my judgment was wrong. There needs to be some kind of takeaway from them. That's why there needs to be, I'm far be it from me to tell you what that is, but we could probably brainstorm on the show. And
these guys are like appointed for life. It's a joke.
Yeah.
All these politicians and judges, today I was thinking to myself, I'm like, how is it nowhere else in America can you just work and have no results or have zero accountability for your actions? Because there's something that really irritates me about politicians. There's a lot of stuff, but this one in particular. I always find it funny when you pull out every politician, I spoke about it before, you pull out every one of their personal finances, and they are killing it. Killing it. It's like they hit the lottery being in the Senate and the House of Representatives.
That's why
Congress.
I talked about that before on the show. If I knew there was so much money in politics,
well, you got it. I
would have been on that student council court, whatever the hell, student government from day one. I had no idea.
But every one of these people are ultra wealthy that are in politics. How they got there, I don't know, because they make $186,000 maxed out. So how they have a $50 million net worth? And my point of the story is, how come every single one of the cities, states, if they work for the federal government, that they are all in financial shambles? And there has to be some type of addendum in their agreement to run for office and represent the people, that if their area is in the red and they're in a deficit, their salary gets cut in half, or they don't get paid at all. And you'll watch them give a shit, because right now it's our money. They don't care. They don't give a rat's ass. They're like, just keep spending. It ain't ours. Because the only thing I can compare it to is in a corporation when you have a budget. And most corporations, at the end of the year, you have to basically obliterate your budget, or you don't get the money back next year. So some people who, and it's human nature. If you're given a budget of $100,000 and in December 1, you only spent 60, you say to yourself, oh my God, if I don't spend this 40,000, then I'm gonna, I'm only gonna get 60 next year. So what do? They just go out and waste 40,000. Now, if they were doing that, I would be okay with it, because they're staying within their budget. But what they're doing is, I don't know how they get away with it, but they're spending instead of spending 40,000 in the month of December, they're spending like 40 million or whatever is comparable number. And then we're in debt up to our asses, and there's no accountability. No one talks about it. Nobody, hardly anyone in our government talks about performance. And that's why I'm so happy President Trump's there, because the government needs to be run like a business.
Result driven.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
Exactly. What else you got? Anything else?
Let's talk about this San Fran immigrant for
a
second, because it's sad. I didn't want to talk about it too much, but we got to talk about it because it's huge news.
Yeah.
This sanctuary city shit is the part of the liberal mindset that it's hard for me to grasp. I can't ever get around why we need to protect illegal immigrants. Why?
And the money we spend
because they fucking clean your streets or mow your lawn. Is it that important to you?
These guys don't.
Is it that important that for these people to do your laundry?
This guy didn't work. A lot of them don't even work.
I know a lot of them don't. That's insane. I'm giving them too much credit. Right. I'm giving them too much credit that they're actually working.
So I don't know if you saw, because I didn't do it, but G did it. My wife did it. My wife posted a blurb on Facebook about what each state spends on illegal aliens. And if I'm not mistaken, I saw it, and I wish I had it in my brain.
It was like in the millions for each.
20, no, ridiculous amounts of money. And
or was it billions?
Billions,
yeah,
I think.
Billions.
It was
like $4 billion in Jersey.
Yeah,
$5
it was
billion
ridiculous amounts of money. And listen, that's the
$20 billion in California.
That's the financial part we're talking about. Now, there's an emotional part of it, whereas this poor woman, and here's what I did. I thought about this long and hard. I really did. And I said, wait a second. First off, the guy lied several times. He said he found the gun, which is complete bullshit. He didn't find no gun. Then he said that he was pointing at a seal, and it went off accidentally. Then he changed the story, said he dropped the gun and stepped on it, and then it fired into her back. Whatever lies this guy feels good about, but how did this guy get acquitted of anything?
Yeah.
Now, first-degree murder, I understand maybe because that's premeditated. It sounds like this guy just went up to her. He didn't know her, didn't have any history with her, and so he probably just decided to shoot her for whatever reason. He was whacked out on drugs or whatever. He's nuts. But how you don't go for manslaughter or second or third degree murder, I have no idea. How the guy gets off scot-free pretty much is mind-boggling.
The precedent that creates for other illegal immigrants trying to get into this country is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because now they're like,
yep,
it's open season on white people.
Correct.
That's what it is.
And he was,
and it's not even because we can say about the 3 black kids who died at Rutgers.
Yes, yeah, it was Jose Carranza.
Yeah.
That scumbag.
And there's
another one.
There's all kinds of horrible things going on to everybody, but it signals, oh man, I can come to America and kill people, and I'll get away with it.
Plus, let's not negate the fact that he was a 7-time convicted felon. He was supposed to be deported 5 times, and each time, because he was San Francisco is such a shithole. He was hiding in Frisco. They wouldn't release him to ICE, which right there should be a crime. So the mayor of San Francisco, Ed Hall, the blood's on your fucking hands. It's on Jerry Brown's hands. It's on every one of those jurors' hands.
All right, I'm with you on that. I'll lighten it up just a minute. Guys, in San Francisco, you can look this up. There's a map. It's literally called the shit map of San Francisco. There's a map because there's so much human feces on the ground in San Francisco because of the homeless population.
Yep,
they map it out, and then you can see where the fresh shits have been taken, what streets to avoid. That's how disgusting and despicable these people. Why clean up the streets? We can just put a map on it so you can avoid the shit. This is how these people think.
It's no pun intended. I've been there. People love San Francisco. I despise it. I think and now it's much worse than it was. I just can't stand the way San Francisco is like an anything goes type of city. That's not what makes cities successful. And that's why California is up to their asshole in debt. And they're ready probably every day to follow Michigan and file bankruptcy because they're a disaster. And here's the thing. They've had the same Democratic leadership from Jerry Brown to every governor of Frisco, to every congressperson, every senator, from Dianne Feinstein to Nancy Pelosi to Kamala Harris. They've had every single piece of shit there for 30 to 40 years, just driving that state into the toilet. And they just keep voting the same people in. And when the money spigot stops, which is what I would do, if I was President Trump, all federal funded money is gone from sanctuary cities and states. Not another penny until you nullify it. Otherwise, you're not getting nothing. And we'll see how long that lasts. And then they can go to the Supreme Court and they're going to lose because that's just a fact. And here in New Jersey with Phil Murphy, who said he's going to do it, it already has happened with the case that Sal just mentioned. There's Jose Carranza killing 3 black kids up in Rutgers for no reason. He was an illegal felon, but I think he had a rap sheet the size and length of my arm. So it's already happened here already.
So scary.
And then to get on the case of jurors, also this week, which you don't hear a word on, and on nobody had this guy. That Tyrone Woods' father came on because the man, the terrorist, the animal that perpetrated the attack in Benghazi, he went up on trial and he got acquitted of all charges. How the fuck do you get this guy? He killed 4 Americans, 2 Navy SEALs, and our ambassador that was dragged through the streets and raped in the middle of the street and beaten. And when he died, they left a metal pipe up his ass. And how? And then the Obama administration lied about it. They all said it was a video, which was not a video. And this man sued, Tyrone Woods' father sued the White House, or the Obama administration, and a judge said, no, you can't sue. So there was no justice for this guy, not even criminally or civilly. And and the media is so downright corrupt and despicable. They don't even talk about it.
It's so funny too. A week after I mentioned, I was like, "Hey, everybody, check out Tommy Robinson. His videos."
Yep.
Trump gets into that spat with
Theresa May,
and she looks like a fool, like an absolute fool, because Trump tweeted 3 videos of radical Islamic terrorists, I guess in Britain, right?
Yeah.
Doing these. I don't think all of them were in Britain. One of them.
Yeah.
One of the videos was in Britain. I think another one was. A couple of them. 2 of them weren't. Anyway, here nor there. She gets on him, and the officials over there get on Trump about tweeting these things, not the actual horrible acts that are taking place within their own country. They don't acknowledge that. They don't come here. Right. Don't come here if you're gonna act like that. Right. We don't want you. You're a racist. you're racist against your own people, Theresa May. You're racist against your own people.
You're allowing violence, accepting violence on your people. And
you're a horrible leader.
Sal didn't even tell me he was going to talk about this.
No.
But it's good that he did, because I had a segue that on Facebook, I was sent a video by a British conservative activist who works with, she doesn't work hand in hand with Tommy Robinson, but they know each other. Her name is Jada Franson. And she basically came on pleading. First off, this woman loved President Trump. She said America made the strong decision of hiring a real leader who wants to confront problems. And we love him here in Europe, in England, in the UK. And this woman wrote and spoke out against Islam in her country. For doing so, they want to put her in jail. Think about that, people. The woman spoke out against violent acts that Sal just mentioned
in her own country,
against her own people, and they want to put her in jail for telling the truth.
Yeah. For being racist.
And if you don't think that can happen, because I love this when I hear people say that can't happen in America. Well, if you don't think it can happen here, it happens in Canada. If you don't watch Dr. Jordan Peterson, he speaks about, if you talk out against transgenders or women or gays or Islam in Canada, they have a new proposition,
Senate Bill C-16.
Senate Bill C-16, that says if you do that, you can be arrested and jailed.
Yeah. Just for your words.
Just for your words. And it's not even like you're lying. You're telling the truth.
Yeah.
This woman, Jada Franson, is telling the truth. She said she's witnessed, Muslim men trying to rape women. She mentions that, and she's going to go to jail. And she was pleading with President Trump to intervene with Theresa May, and that's what I think he's been doing.
Yeah.
But think about that, people. That is sick.
It is.
It's sick.
It absolutely kills me when I read that.
Sick.
And then this is something, I don't know if it, did you see this? I didn't get a chance to talk to some of my Jewish friends and people that I know about it, but Trump is going to make Jerusalem the capital of Israel.
Yes.
And all those liberal Jewish people out there, we know there's millions of them. The majority of the Jews are liberals. So
most.
What are they going to say now? Like, they've been wanting this forever.
Yep.
They wanted Jerusalem to be the capital of Israel forever.
Yep.
And now he's going to make it. And this is like this spits.
What are your thoughts on that?
It spits right in Iran's face.
Yep. What are your thoughts on what's going to happen? Because I don't think they're going to change a bit.
The actual people.
No. Americans? No.
The American Jews, probably not. The Israeli Jews, I think, are really going to turn for them. They're going to be like, yeah, this dude's with us.
Correct. I think, the people in Israel.
Yeah.
American Jews, because I was told, I have at the gym, I have a very conservative Jewish friend, my friend Alan. Very bright guy. I love him to death. Older man. And this is what he said to me once. Because I asked him that question, kind of what Sal just posed. And he said this to me. Because every time when I see him at the gym, when I see him, I ask him how his weekend was, and he rolls his eyes and says, "We had to go out with my liberal asshole wife's friends," and he tells me what transpires. But what he said was this: he goes, "Gary, you have to understand something. Liberalism takes precedence over ethnicity or Judaism."
How could that be? How could that be?
He's sickened by it, but he said they think of liberalism way more, and that's the only way I could describe how there's certain, like, if you think about this, I remember, I'm not sticking up for Bush here, but think about this. The first 4 years he was hated by all those groups. We know that. And I thought he did a pretty decent job the first 4 years. Somewhere in his re-election, I think he went to he put his head on a pillow one night and said, "I'm going to change my entire. I'm going to roll over. I'm going to just appease all these groups that hate me. And I think he was such a naive guy. Ultimately, when you take him away from all this nonsense in politics, I think George Bush isn't a bad man. I think his heart is in the right place. I don't think he's an evil man. I kind of base that opinion on when he left office, he didn't say shit for like 3 years. He didn't say a word. You never heard from him until recently. And he kind of stuck his foot in his mouth. That's a whole other story.
Like usual.
Yeah, but I don't think he's an evil man. But he just turned around. He just doled out loads of money to African American causes, loads of money to Jewish causes, and they still hated him. Still. So my take is the American Jewish community. That's nice that he made Jerusalem, the capital. But we still don't.
What that's going to do, though, I can see that really escalating the tensions out in the Middle East.
Oh, that's without a doubt. Without a doubt. Because you know how the Middle Easterners go crazy over this bullshit. They go nuts over cartoons, over statements. Like they
have such a small patch of land over there that they care so much about.
Right. They go nuts over this shit. So this is going to be one of their things to grab onto to cause tensions. It's just another excuse for violence. Let's be honest.
I think that they're trying. I mean, as much as North Korea might be a destination for war, I think Iran. Right. Iran is probably the next spot we go in.
Yep.
Not start some shit, because obviously the dude's a brutal dictator and he shouldn't be in power and his whole regime is evil and we have to go in there. But what's the real reason why we go in there? I don't know.
I think we were originally going to oil. I
know, but we don't. Now we know oil's not the future. So what are we going in? We're just to fuck them up. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. It's funny, but yeah. I mean, at this point, I don't want to go in there.
I guess it would only be that. My point, I guess, the overarching point is that he might attack Israel now, and that if he does that, I think they're going balls to the wall.
I don't think if you let the dogs loose in Israel.
They probably take care of it.
Israel got some badass army,
but they're going to get attacked from all sides.
Well, then we got another issue that goes on there, and then shit, man, we got all this. We got chaos again, which will be terrible. But let's see what else I want to talk about. I got a couple. I was going to finish. Sal and I have been promising to talk about something that I want to talk about at the end, because it's such. It came to me today late, and I really spent a lot of time on it, looking at it. It's pretty horrific, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just want to mention. A lot of people have been asking us over the last few weeks about Las Vegas. And all I can say about Las Vegas, in my lifetime, it's one of the most mind-blowing things that have ever occurred.
This would be like our Kennedy, right?
It's insane.
Even way worse than
Kennedy. I mean, you have the greatest mass shooting in American history. You have many people that have recordings on their phone, talking to people that know it wasn't a one man. There's proof now that Saudi Arabia had some snipers there.
The helicopters there.
Yeah. There's proof that there were shooters on the ground, the whole thing. But something crazy that no one's talking about, and they never talk about anything.
They wouldn't talk about this for sure.
Is that on Friday of this past week, the 9th person died of the most outrageous cause of death that can happen. He was run over by a car, and the car took off and just left him there.
This is ninth survivor, Las Vegas survivor, who said that multiple shooters were happening.
These are the 9th. Yeah, I should explain myself. Yeah. Thanks, Sal. They have people who either have video, going to the media, and now they're just showing up dead. Yeah. And I remember the first person, I thought that was kind of weird. She was like 28 years old. She was a survivor. But now the 9th person, and you go through all this stuff in your head, and you're like, what's the end game? Why was this being done?
They don't want people to talk.
Exactly. And then like we talked about last week on our podcast, which I didn't know, is that this Prince and Bill Gates of that hotel on the top floor, which is like the ultra rich floor, and now there's Saudi snipers and military guys staying there. And that makes no sense to me. I'm like, wait a second. Shouldn't that be for high rollers? Shouldn't that be for people
penthouse
who know
Michael Jordan?
Gamble a lot of money away? What the hell is it doing to a Saudi army? And that's kind of my. Also, I found out that a week before this, and this is just from digging around, the largest, the owner, but the largest investor in Mandalay Bay sold 98% of his shares. And he made a ton of money on it, because if you look at Mandalay Bay shares now, they're not what they used to. After the shooting, they're way down. So you wonder, what the hell did he do that for? So this is just craziness, what's going on. And I wish we had more information on this, but this is like hush hush. And we talked about
from the day one. That would explain like what I remember coming on the show the day after.
Yep.
And we were obviously shell shocked and mortified. But even then we were like, what really happened?
Well, we talked about all the weird connections. If you guys don't know, like the person in charge of the investigation was the son-in-law or the son of one of Barack Obama's right-hand people. And then the daughter is married. It's just nuts.
Strange.
Podesta's daughter, who was the head of the Hillary's campaign, is the daughter married to this guy. It's just so incestuous with all this nutty shit. And the only thing I think of is, if you guys watched any of the early press conferences, and I don't remember his name, but the deputy of Las Vegas, this Italian guy, you could tell he just was not, his heart wasn't into it. whenever he was talking, he was kind of, he was kind of flopping around. He wouldn't look directly in the camera.
Yeah, he kept changing
the story. And then when this dude who came in, who was, Obama's right-hand man's son and Podesta's son-in-law, he looked right in the camera, and this guy had like steel eyes. And this is the guy you could just tell is a professional, corrupt liar. He would be telling, as he had his hand in your pocket, stealing your wallet, he would be telling you that he's not going to take your money. That's the kind of guy this guy is. So this shit has gone off the rails, and we'll keep an eye on it. But there's not a lot of information other than the Prince last week admitting that he sent the snipers there. And I don't know what else to go with this thing. It's just insane. Like lawyers trying to prosecute. The only thing I could say now is if they're trying to contain the amount of lawsuits, because the amount of lawsuits will be in the billions of dollars, because you have a lot of people injured, a lot of people who would file multi-million-dollar lawsuits for wrongful death, and all that stuff.
It's insanity. It
So
really is.
so that's that.
Before you get, after you go into this,
go ahead.
Before you get to that, what is the one prevailing thing we've noticed about all these sexual harassers, these abusers, all this? It's a sad fact too, if you notice it, for us, because it's our race. It's all white people. It's all
Pretty
white
much
guys.
white little wimpy dudes.
So, like, not to say that I felt better about this or worse. It just made me realize, all right, it isn't just white people doing these crimes. If you guys didn't notice or know, Russell Simmons,
Yep.
one of the biggest music moguls.
Hip-hop.
This dude does he started the Visa prepaid cards. He was the founder of that. He's a billionaire from that. He does all kinds of stuff. But Russell Simmons had to step down in his own company because of graphic details. I wish I remember the girl's name. It started like an L or something.
I think it was the niece of one of his.
Yeah, it was like the niece of one of his like producers.
Yes, yeah.
Like she accused him of rape and just one of the most graphic details, and then another person kind of like corroborated it. And this is all an allegation. He stepped down immediately. So I was like, wow.
Well, just to answer
Wow,
Conyers and Cosby, two black guys too.
Yeah.
So
But they're not admitting anything. Connors will die
he's gonna
in
die.
office saying that he didn't do shit.
Yeah, we know he did though.
Exactly. But same with Cosby. Cosby admits it, sorta, kinda. That was what they did. Hey, Spanish flag.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Exactly.
It's like, dude, you're a scumbag.
But it's funny because, I mean, just to think of I'm not gonna talk a lot about Matt Lauer, but I just wanna, if you ever seen the arrogance of Matt Lauer in full effect, just go back and watch one of his interviews. And I'm gonna give you an example.
Oh God.
Now I don't even just say Bill O'Reilly. Or Bill O'Reilly was accused of this stuff. He actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he fought these charges.
He also paid $35 million
And he paid
to
one
woman.
Right.
Think about giving $35 million to one woman.
So he probably
35 million.
Right. He probably did.
He did something heinous.
He did something. But anyway, I'm not sticking up for Bill O'Reilly. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, when you saw this interview, the arrogance and smugness on Matt Lauer's face, and to think that 2 years ago when he did this, that he knew he was doing the exact thing and maybe even worse to multiple women, and he could sit there with a look on his face and criticize them and belittle them and not have any empathy at all. I'm not saying you do yet. Empathy should be for the victim. But even on other instances, and I think Matt Lauer's job as an interviewer is always to be that squeaky wheel, that little geeky pain in the ass. Because I know if you watch this interview, on the interview, it was funny. When the Lone Survivor movie came out, there's a guy that I know. I wouldn't say he's a friend of mine, but I had dinner with him by chance, Marcus Luttrell. We had it in Coronado when he was a SEAL. And then he eventually made the movie because this happened to him 5 years afterwards. I had a dinner with him. When he was in New York doing he does this campaign called the boot campaign, where they sell work boots or military boots, and the money goes to the veterans who have their families, were killed, and it goes to the wives and children. It's a very noble cause. Look it up, the boot campaign. But when he made the movie, he was on with Marky Mark. He was on with him, and we all know who he is. And he was on with the producer, who's and him and Mark Wahlberg work a lot together. I forget his name, but they've been in like 3 or 4 movies together. Okay. Very cool guy, conservative guy. So they were sitting there answering Matt Lauer's questions, and then it came to talk to Marcus Luttrell. And I'll just give you the Clip Note version if you haven't seen it. Basically, what they said was they were on a reconnaissance mission. They were exposed by 4 goat herders, and they captured them and they held them. And so the team leader, whose name was Murphy, got 2 votes. He voted not to let them go. Those votes counted twice. The other 2 guys voted kill them and kill them. So it was 2 and 2. So Marcus was the deciding vote. And he said to Matt Lauer right to his eyes, he goes, for the first time in my life, I acted like a lily-ass, pussified liberal, and I decided to let him go. It was the worst decision of my life, and if I could do it again, I would have slit all their throats to save my friends and to be sitting here. And Matt Lauer, all of a sudden, when he heard that, he like got out of his chair and he leaned up. Now, Marcus Luttrell's a big dude. He's like 6'4", 250. And again, he goes, if you had done that, you would have been in Leavenworth. And Marcus Luttrell then gets out of his seat and gets in his face. And then Matt Lauer goes back and he goes to me, it would have been worth every year I served to have my friends come visit me there. And then Matt Lauer, and it was just the smugness of this guy, like what this guy was through. This guy, Marcus Luttrell, was tortured. He was captured. He was left for dead. He survived, came here, and now he's honoring his friends who were killed in a movie. And just the smug and arrogance on his face made you want to. And I could just tell Marcus wanted to smack the shit out of him, but obviously he couldn't do it. But it was funny to watch the producer and Mark Wahlberg when he did. They were like, Matt, you should shut the fuck up. This guy's gonna kill you.
It's like the guy got away with so much because he was a good interviewer. I don't get it. Every interview I ever saw with the guy was like always marked with controversy.
Yeah,
he always pissed off the guest. I was like, how is this guy a good interviewer?
Yeah, and you know what? There's a way to go about interviewing someone and getting the facts and a way to do it. He always would just be like I always say like the analogy of like a pit bull is someone who's tough. You talk about a good lawyer like a pit bull. He was like a chihuahua. He was like a little chihuahua that used to, like just it's annoying. Like he's not gonna hurt you. I let him bite my finger. It's gonna get a little blood on it. But he was always like just annoying little faggot. I just couldn't stand him. I always hated him. And that's exactly what he was. I thought he was terrible at his job. And the fact of the matter is now we know that he was this type of guy makes it even more laughable about the kind of guy he is. Like hypocrisy in these liberals' minds is despicable. It's their worst trait ever. Hypocrisy by far is their worst trait.
That just trying to be morally superior when they're like, you are no way morally superior than anyone. Stop acting like it.
Right.
And that's where I'm going to end it.
Well, speaking of, and there's one last thing. I don't know if you heard this one. Eric Holder had the nerve to come out yesterday, and he said, the FBI, in my experience, is very ethical, but there's no ethics coming out of Pennsylvania Avenue and President Trump's White House. And I want to laugh. Think about the hypocrisy of that statement. Here's a guy who lied and had a ICE agent, or not an ICE agent, I'm sorry, ATF agent killed because of the Fast and Furious that he screwed up giving guns to Mexican gangs. He lied about it. And when it was brought to his attention that a man who was working for our government, was doing heroic acts every day, died, he said, why do we have to talk about that? It's a nuisance. Kind of like what Hillary said about Benghazi. So that just goes show you like how the hypocrisy of these people is just completely ridiculous. It's nuts how they just don't care. Unless it happens to them, they don't care. That all that good feelings and moral superiority they supposedly have, they don't have shit. It's all an act. It's an act.
Like it's so blatantly obvious that you're acting, and like these male feminists out there, like I started the show on, you're acting. You don't feel like that, and if you do feel like that, there is some severe mental problems going on with you.
There's one more thing I want to talk about, like with the president and what's going on with Mueller and Comey, all these scumbags, is we found out, and let me tell you something, people, you can't find the story anywhere. So you heard it on the Red podcast because I literally
breaking news, baby.
I literally searched. There's an FBI lawyer named Lisa Page, and there's an FBI agent named Peter Strzok. Both of these individuals worked the Hillary campaign that supposedly she did nothing wrong.
I've read about this Peter Strzok.
Right. Mueller also said to all these guys are good FBI agents and lawyers. I want to bring them on for the Trump investigation. Well, guess what, people? They were fired on Friday of last week because both of them were sending out anti-Trump tweets and anti-Trump messages on email that people had copies of. And people, good FBI agents and good attorneys, thank God, and the FBI said, wait a second, this is supposed to be an unbiased investigation of someone in our, in our government as high as the president, and these people are telling them to make shit up and find them guilty on something.
That's the beauty of all of this, is that not all people are evil like they think, and not all people will take the money, and nor can they pay everyone.
Right. That's the thing.
Yes. Even if people are on your side and you decide, hey, not to pay them, they're going to resent you, and then they're going to fall. And then Donna Brazil.
Yep.
Donna Brazil, prime example.
Yep.
They're going to go right against you as soon as they can.
It's mind-boggling. If you're a lawyer, you know the rules when you're going in. When you take your bar exam, you know there's no gray in law. There's no gray. You either do the right thing or you don't do the right thing. When you're an investigator in the FBI, there's probably a lot of gray in that area. However, you know that as an investigator, he wasn't acting as an FBI agent, going after a criminal. He was doing a investigation assigned by a special prosecutor, and his job is to be unbiased and present the facts and the truth. For them to come out and basically say, convict this guy, make stuff up about him, is so, it makes your head spin that there are people that exist like this. And if they think no one's going to catch them, they're getting exposed on a daily basis. And this just goes back to being the mind of a liberal. The sick mind. And God is going to get you, as Johnny Cash said.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yes,
I was just going to finish
exactly.
it. I was like, libs, that's just how you know God's going to cut you down.
Yep. And you got anything else?
That's it, baby.
All right. I want to tell you about this.
Okay.
There's one last thing. And Sal and I have been talking about it, and we haven't focused on it much lately. However, I can't hide this. I came across, I got sent this. And I went looking, I went poking around. And the only reason why I'm mentioning it is because specific names were given. So here's what happened. We all know about the Harvey Weinstein stuff and the pedophilia that's not associated with him, and because we don't, but of other people in Hollywood.
Sex trafficking thing?
Yeah.
I didn't read about it.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw it, but I didn't read it.
Right. So here's what happened. There was a gentleman by the name of Greg Busaroni. In the late 70s, early 80s, he was a kid. He was 7 or 8 years old. He was a troubled kid. At that age, he ended up being like a juvenile delinquent. I mean, I think he tried to rob something. I think he got in a fight. He broke some glass. They put him in the South Philadelphia Boys Club. So he's in the with a bunch of other kids. And evidently, over the course of his lifetime, he was involved in a child trafficking. I wouldn't even know what you call it, scheme. Horrible acts.
Sex trafficking.
Yeah, sex trafficking acts. He comes out in 2012, and he had his ducks lined up. He knew his shit. And he told the New York Daily News what was going on. They would not print the story, and they said he was lying. So he turns around, and he lets, I think, Wiki know what's going on. Wiki and Anonymous wind up getting into the computers of these people he mentioned. Well, we find out this past week that what this guy, Greg Busaroni, said was on emails through the FBI and Wiki emails. He was telling the truth. So basically what he said is there was this real shithead named Ed Savitz, who was a Philadelphia multimillionaire involved in this. He got convicted of crimes against minors in the late 90s. He died of AIDS in jail. Then there was this guy, Sam Rappaport, who was this philanthropic millionaire, multimillionaire, very wealthy guy. He named him. We all know who this guy was. He named at these parties was a gentleman by the name of Jerry Sandusky. If you don't remember Jerry Sandusky, 2 words: Penn State. Also, there was a coach named Phil Foglietta who worked with Sandusky. He was one of Paterno's assistant coaches. He was at these parties.
I'm guessing Sandusky's son was there too, probably.
They didn't mention him. He might have been too young at the time. Then there was a professor, a highly thought of professor named, he's actually in jail right now. He was from the Wharton School of Business. His name was Lawrence Scott Ward. He's in jail, convicted pedophiliac or pedophile. We also have Dennis Hastert, who was convicted. If you guys don't know him, he was a GOP guy, a rhino, but he was best buddies with the Clintons. He's in jail for multiple, boys. They think like up to 100 boys he molested. So he's in jail. Then there's a couple guys I don't know about, but then there's someone who was the head of the DNC chair. He was the governor of Philadelphia, Ed Rendell. We find out Ed Rendell is also very good friends with Tony and John Podesta. And Tony ran his campaign in 2006 for his run for the DNC chair after he was governor of Pennsylvania. So now we have all this stuff going on, and this is just another how this stuff can be withheld, because this rings are huge, and this Busseroni was telling the truth. I mean, everything he said was right on the money, and it was confirmed by the FBI and Wiki. So now I'm going to see, but a lot of these guys are already convicted and jailed or died, but some of them aren't, and so we'll see how it goes with Ed. Because now it looks like the big loser here is going to be Ed Rendell. He was the former head of the DNC.
Wow, and all these people are connected with Weinstein and the Clintons.
All of them. All of them are. Matter of fact, Ed Rendell is like one of the.
We were trying to tie this Weinstein, the Clintons, since day one,
and they were buddies.
I'm
how
glad
many pictures did you see of them together?
God.
A million of them. They're all combined. But if you got anything else?
No, guys, this shit is real.
It's
These
real.
people are out there, and we need to stop them.
And real quick, guys, before Sal and I get out of here, Facebook. I don't know if anyone has suffered this.
A lot of women are suffering this week. It
came out. Sal pointed out to me that women are being censored on Facebook for using certain terminology
towards men.
My wife just got, my wife called Obama a hood rat.
She's the producer of our show.
Yeah, she's the producer of our show. So she's
banned from Facebook.
She's banned from Facebook, and all she said was that Obama was a hood rat that brought roaches to our White House, and they said she violated community standards, and she's been banned now for a couple days. So please, people, if you get a chance, could you share, if you like what we're saying? If
you're in groups or anything.
In groups, share our videos.
Share.
We would appreciate it.
It'll help us out big time.
It'll help us out immensely if you like what we're saying. And if you don't like it, that's fine too.
Yeah,
but we thank you, and because we miss her. She's not here.
Hopefully she gets out of Facebook jail
soon. She's in Facebook jail. But I know a lot of guys. Listen, I got a couple buddies on here that are constantly in Facebook jail, and I've been there before too. So we all, but it looks like the Facebook is ratcheting up the censorship, like we talked about, that's happening in other places. So you just want to be careful. And I'm looking forward to hopefully a competitor of Facebook coming out relatively soon. I'm not sure where, but we need something, because competitiveness breeds healthiness in business. And right now, these guys have a monopoly, and it sucks.
Yeah. So please spread us. Let us get out there.
Yeah, share white.
Bigger and better things are going to be in our future for sure.
Absolutely. So with that being said, guys, we're gonna walk out with some Johnny Cash. And like Sal, but thanks again for listening, watching. Any comments, please leave. Love to hear where you're from. Love to hear your thoughts. Ask questions. And everyone have a great night.
Yeah, please. Have a great
week. Take care. Scabagool out. Sal out. That was a good show. I think that was our best show ever. It was great.